Hello, it's me, Muhammad Osman from Mr. Tablet. So today we are going to learn naming alkene. Just like alkane, even in naming alkenes, we have four rules. Rule number one, rule number two, rule number three, and rule number four. So rule number one tells us, just like alkene, in case of alkene, we first need to identify the longest carbon chain with double bond. Now if we come to this compound, the longest carbon chain with a double bond is definitely this one. Rule number two tells us identify the parent compound. Now if you look at this compound, there is only double bond, and definitely this is alkene because double bond is always present in alkene. Rule number three. Now rule number three has been highlighted because this is one of the most important rules when naming alkenes. The rule number three tells us the position of the double bond is determined with smaller number. Position of double bond is determined with smaller number. Now what does it mean? Let me show. Let's number this carbon as 1, this carbon as 2, this carbon as 3, this carbon as 4, and this carbon as 5. Now then this double bond gets a position of 2. Or we could start numbering from here. Number this carbon as 1, this carbon as 2, this carbon as 3, this carbon as 4, and this carbon as 5. Then this double bond would get position 3. But see, rule number 3 tells us the double bond is determined with smaller number. And definitely 2 is the smaller number. Hence, we need to start numbering from here. Consider this carbon as 1, this carbon as 2, this carbon as 3, this carbon as 4, and this carbon as 5. Only then the double bond gets the smaller number, which is 2. Let me erase this part. Alright. Now let's move to rule number 4. The rule number 4, just like while we did during naming of alkane, rule number 4 tells us to write the names of the substituent groups following the alphabetical order as prefix before the name of parent alkene. Now, this rule is exactly same as that of alkane. Now let's name this compound. Now we have positioned it. Now we need to check the substituent group. Now the only substituent group in this compound is CH3, which is methyl. And the position of methyl is at 4. So we will have 4 methyl. Alright. Now we have written the substituent group. Now I want to highlight another thing. Position of double bond is indicated as alk plus number plus in. Alk plus number plus in. Now look at this longest chain. How many carbons are there? There are 5 carbon. 1 carbon, 2 carbon, 3 carbon, 4 carbon, 5 carbon. So definitely this will be pent. Pent. You see, like this alkyl group, alk, pent. Then we have to put number, the position of the double bond. Now the position of the double bond is at 2. Is at 2. There will be a hyphen. Always remember to put a hyphen between a word and a number while naming organic compounds. Pent 2. Another hyphen, and then we add this word in. E-N-E, in. So the name of the compounds become 4-methyl pent 2-in. This 2 indicates the position of the double bond. Let's move to this compound. Now let's find the longest continuous chain with double bond. Definitely this is the longest chain with the double bond. Definitely this is alkene because only double bond is present. Now let's position the double bond. Definitely we will start numbering from here. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Look, if we start numbering from this carbon, then the double bond gets position 1. Or if we started numbering from this carbon, like this carbon as 1, this carbon as 2, this carbon as 3, this carbon as 4, this carbon as 5, and this carbon as 6, then the double bond would get position 5, which is not appropriate. The appropriate is the double bond should be determined with smaller number, and hence we definitely need to start counting this from this carbon as 1. Alright, so let's name this compound as well. The name of this compound becomes, over here we also have only one substituent group, which is methyl group. And let me erase the red part a bit so there won't be any confusion. Alright. So the only substituent group in this compound is also methyl group. And the position of the methyl group is at 5. So 5-methyl, don't forget to put the hyphen, 5-methyl. And how many carbons are there in the long chain? There are 6 carbons in the long chain, so it's going to be hex. Hex, and the position of the double bond is at 1 position, hex 1 in. So that's become the name of the compound, 5-methyl hex 1 in. So we have 2 more examples here. Let's start with this one first. So we first need to find the longest chain with the double bond. This is the longest chain with the double bond. And definitely this is an alkene because this compound only contains double bond. Now we need to position the double bond with the smallest number. So we will number this carbon as 1, we will number this carbon as 2, we will number this carbon as 3, we will number this carbon as 4. Then you see that the double bond gets position 1, which is the smaller number or the smallest number. Now in this compound we have 2 substituent groups. We have this one and this one. Now this is amino and this is chloro. Now of course in alphabetical order A comes first and then comes C. So amino will come first in the naming and chloro will come later because alphabetical order will be followed. A comes first, C comes later. So let's name this compound. So the amino group is at position 2. So it's gonna be 2-amino. Always remember to put a hyphen between a number and a word while naming organic compounds. The chlorine is at position 3. And the longest chain contains 4 carbons. So it's gonna be bute, and our double bond is at position 1, bute 1 in, like this, alk plus number plus in, bute 1 in. So the name of the compound becomes 2-amino, 3-chloro, bute 1 in. So it's like 2-amino, 3-chloro, bute 1 in. Now let's come to this compound. We first need to identify the longest chain with the double bond. This is the longest chain with the double bond. Secondly, we need to identify the parent compound. Of course, there are only double bond, hence it is an alkene. Now, one of the most interesting thing of this compound is that it contains 2 double bond, here one and here another. So this compound contains 2 double bond, but don't get confused, it's very simple. We will see. Now we will determine the position of the double bond. We will number this carbon as 1, we number this carbon as 2, this carbon as 3, this carbon as 4, and this carbon as 5. Now in this compound we have only one substituent, which is a methyl group, and it is at position 2. So let's name this compound. So it's gonna be 2-methyl. The longest chain contains 5 carbons, so it's gonna be 2-methyl pent. My first double bond, the position of my first double bond is at 1. So pent hyphen 1, comma, and the position of the second double bond is at position 3. So 1, 3 hyphen die in. Why die in? Because there are two double bonds. That's why diene. So the name of the compound becomes 2-methyl-pent 1,3 diene. So that's all about naming alkenes. If you have any confusion, please do write in the comment. I'll be glad to answer you. Watch the next video on naming alcohols, followed by aldehydes and carboxylic acids, and organic compounds with multiple functional groups. Thank you all.